5 photographers, 1 season. We didn't ask them to simply explain their pictures. We asked them what photography is for now, at a time when images move faster than ever, attention is measured in seconds, and everyone seems to be looking for the next tool, the next trick, the next shortcut. But what came back was something slower, deeper, and much more human. What follows isn't 5 separate interviews. It is one conversation about how photographers see, why they keep looking, and what still gives a photograph meaning today.
It's the obsession with gear. I can't stand that. Especially social media, like people talking about photography and they're only talking about gear. And then I cannot stand that. It's like, telling a good cook, like you must have a great stove. I mean, or a writer. People don't tell writers that they have a great pen or a great, typewriter.
You have to have a good camera. It has to work. It has to have a decent lens, all that stuff. But you shoot with what you've got, and that's it.
Buy books, don't buy cameras. Just get a camera, a simple camera, because the camera is just a tool. We get lost in all the gear, and it becomes like a fashion. How many this and how many that, but the camera will not take your picture. Shoot, 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 shoot. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. The more mistakes you make, the more you learn.
If photography is not only about being seen, is it still about being someone? For a long time, the photographer was imagined as a singular figure, one eye, one voice, one vision. But today that idea feels more complicated. No photograph exists alone. Every image belongs to a wider conversation made of histories, places, people, and other ways of seeing. And yet, the personal eye still matters. Maybe the point is not to be the only one or the best one. Maybe the point is to add one honest slice to a much larger picture.
Quite often when I do look at YouTube videos of street photographers doing street photography, I'm amazed at the number of likes and comments, that stuff to me that looks really mediocre. I did used to think you just make good work and you will be found, but that's definitely not 100% true. Yeah, I see a lot of mediocre street photography.
The trends tend to become boring after a while. They're fun at the beginning, and yes, they give you new ideas, but I feel that they are superficial in many ways. So if you stick to just that, I think you won't go very far.
It's like 2 train tracks that are opposite. They're parallel, but they don't connect. It should be the work that is dominant, and it's the work that matters.
But a photograph is never only about the photographer.
I think I'm just like one more photographer. I think there was, in the past, this idea, like well-known idea, that a photographer has to be one of a kind, The single, as the more, whatever it is, like this idea of being a top photographer. And I think that's coming to an end somehow. That aura of something that has to be unique is a matter of the past. I think about photography as a pizza, and my photography is just one slice. And if you want to see the pizza, you need to share several photographers' views.
Never give up your personal work. Shoot your own work, because it's your own unique eye and voice that will be most valued.
It is also about the people inside the frame, the trust that allows an image to exist, and the responsibility that comes after pressing the shutter. Sometimes the strongest picture is the one you take. Sometimes it's the one you decide not to use. Photography can reveal, but it can also expose. It can give visibility, but it can also take something away. So the question is not only what a photograph shows, the question is what it costs, who it serves, and whether it leaves dignity intact.
I don't think I don't think it in terms of beautiful image. I think in terms of an effective image. Otherwise, what am I doing? And I want, people in power to see, things that they have the power to change.
I saw a very old woman walking, like trying to climb the hill. And what I thought as a photographer was like, okay, this is a very interesting scene. And this is going to help me tell people how hard it is and how even old people is traveling the world and risking their lives. And then a young man came to me and asked me to delete the picture. They were Afghans. They have flee violence and persecution in Afghanistan. And if I published that old woman picture, that would be a disgrace for that woman and her family, because she was not covering her face. So I was not doing it for anybody, but for me. I had to put also in that same scale, like, am I going to go over somebody's dignity for a picture that I think it's important in telling? And then I delete the pictures.
We have this tendency of auto-censorship of a story, of telling a story, when in the end, what you're doing is you're paying attention to someone that really want to, have their story told and are tired of being invisible.
There's no industry here. It's really hard to get your photograph out for an audience. I have seen many talented photographers walk out of photography because it's impossible for them to survive.
Camera helps in many ways. It creates a shield, between you and the drama that is unfolding. Those people who literally traveled with a backpack with all their belongings in that little bag, they were better than I was. They made me feel so small.
After the doubt, the ethics, the pressure, and the cost, one question is left. Why keep doing this at all? Maybe because for some photographers, photography is not just a profession, a language, or a practice. It becomes a way of moving through the world, a way of paying attention, a way of understanding others, and sometimes of understanding yourself. The photograph is the result, but the deeper work is the act of looking.
Photography is not a job. It's like, for me, I make my earnings through photography, but at the same time, I live in photography. It's like it's impossible for me to see the world out of photography now.
I tend to view my photography as a sort of natural history of human beings rather than animals.
While I'm looking for other people's soul, I was looking for mine at the same time.
The thread is that we are all the same. We are all so similar to each other. It's your brain, it's your heart, it's your mind, it's your soul.
Maybe that is the thread. Not the camera, not the fame, not even the photograph as an object by itself, but the way you see. 5 photographers, 5 books, 5 different relationships with the world. The street as weather, the city in its gray hours, the hidden theater of human behavior, the weight of a land and survival, and the search for soul, memory, and belonging. Together, they form one season of Eyeshot, available for pre-order until June 30th.